The sun is the center of our entire life and experience. Without it, the Earth would be as sterile as the moon, and about as interesting. If any star in the sky failed to shine at night, we might regret the fact. Astronomers would hurry to find out why, but life would continue on the Earth just the same. But if the sun failed to light up our morning, the whole world and our very consciousness would soon be extinguished. Watching the sun and noting the division of night and day are probably the simplest and most natural of any astronomical observation. Even animals take note of the sun and are plunged into confusion when overtaken by an eclipse. That the sun is a star is one of the advantages we receive from it, like free sunlight. The distant stars are very hard to examine due to the faint light levels that reach us. Not so the sun. Here the problem is just the opposite. There is too much light, and precautions must be taken to avoid injury to the viewer and damage to equipment. But properly prepared astronomers have learned secrets of the stars by examining our own star. Many ordinary-looking stars in the nighttime sky are far larger and more luminous than the sun. At the distance of nearby stars, say about 30 light-years, the sun would only appear as one of the faintest stars visible in the sky at night. Stars such as Rigel or Wisn would outshine our star by 20,000 times. That the stars are very far off, yet like our sun, was first proved by Christian Huygens more than 300 years ago. Taking a candle, Huygens compared the light to the star Sirius. He found that at a certain distance the candle flame was as bright as the star. Next day he used discs placed in front of his eyes to reduce the sunlight to the level of the candle and, by comparison, the star. He found that the sun would be as bright as the star if the sun were removed by about 250,000 times its distance to the Earth. This simple experiment showed the universe to be very much bigger than just our solar system. The sun's daily and annual migrations across the sky were one of the first topics for human investigation. In Egypt, the sun was Ra, and he sailed over the sky in a boat only to finish his life at nightfall, but ready to be reborn the next day. In ancient Greece, the sun was Apollo, the god of light, music, poetry, and also the bringer of punishments. The Aztecs worshipped Quetzalcoatl, the serpent god clothed in green feathers that brought wisdom, peace, and plenty. The first notion that the sun was very far off and huge can be ascribed to the 5th century BCE thinker Anaxagoras. It is said that the fall of a meteor in Greece attracted his attention, and he started to suggest that the sun was not Apollo, but a huge hot ball of metal. He also suggested that its size was as large as central Greece. For this shocking theory, Anaxagoras was placed on trial. Fortunately, he had powerful friends in the government and got off with a warning. We know today that the sun, which is about 1.3 million kilometers in diameter, is one of hundreds of millions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. It is not an unusual star, and those other stars which are the same spectral class as the sun appear virtually identical to the sun, at least to within the limits of our understanding. Sun observers must take precautions if they are going to explore the sun. One way, simpler and more inexpensive and safe, involves projecting an image of the sun through a small telescope or opera glass. Prism binoculars should be avoided for this, since the sunlight will damage the prisms and metal fittings within. Set up the instrument and do not look through the eyepiece, but watch the shadow of the device on the ground. When the shadow is smallest, the telescope or glass is pointed at the sun. Place a card behind the image, focus normally, and you will see an image of the sun. Sunspots may be seen, and the picture will be faded at the edges due to limb darkening. This is caused by the gaseous nature of the sun and the greater layers of material at the edges of the view, which slightly dampen the bright view.